This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. The world's richest man could get even richer. Tesla proposed a new pay package for Elon Musk that will boost his stake in the company to nearly 25%, up from 13.5% today, and could potentially be worth $1 trillion. Yes, that's trillion with a T. But Elon will have to hit a series of lofty goals over the next 10 years to earn the full payout, which is divided into 12 tranches. He must remain CEO, COO, or Chief Product Officer of Tesla. He must meet 12 market cap and 12 operational goals, including boosting Tesla's market value to at least $8.5 trillion, up from around $1 trillion today. He must deliver 1 million Optimus robots, 20 million Tesla vehicles, and have 1 million robotaxis in commercial operation. And Elon also has to help Tesla's board work out a long-term CEO succession plan in order to receive the last 2 tranches of the payout. Lucid is trying to hold on until it can launch new models at a lower cost that will get it to scale. Speaking to reporters yesterday, interim CEO Mark Winteroff said they have enough cash on hand to last until the middle of next year, but Lucid's new midsize model will not launch until the end of next year, and Winteroff admitted that the company will need new financing to be able to launch it. But that midsize model looks promising. It was designed to take out significant amounts of cost and will carry 3 different top hats, including one for a robotaxi. Winteroff said they dramatically cut the bill of materials, or BOM. He said the BOM is, quote, on a completely different planet, and claims it has half the parts of a Tesla Model Y. That's quite a statement to make. But there's no question that times are tough for EV makers. Rivian, which is also about to come out with a lower-cost midsize model, is laying off a couple of hundred sales and service workers. This is all about cutting costs, as it sounds like the company is anticipating a drop in sales once federal EV incentives go away at the end of this month. And it's not just Rivian. General Motors is cutting production of the Cadillac Lyriq and Vistic and is eliminating one of the shifts that will make the new Chevrolet Bolt. And as we reported the other day, Volkswagen is cutting production of the ID.4 at its U.S. plant. Truck and bus makers in Europe are asking for more help to meet the EU CO2 reduction targets. Under the rules, 35% of new heavy-duty vehicles must be zero emission by 2030, up from just 3.5% today. The truck and bus makers say they've invested billions into developing zero-emission vehicles and are committed to the green transition. But more EU policies are needed to boost adoption of ZEV trucks. The companies want competitive charging prices, dedicated incentives, and CO2-based road user charges, and say if these policies aren't put in place, they'll fail to meet the requirements. But it's not just truck makers that aren't happy with the EU's regulations. BMW CEO Oliver Zipse called Europe's 2035 ICE ban, quote, a big mistake. Zipse says the goal doesn't take into account emissions across the entire value chain, including battery production and fuel sourcing. Zipse is urging the EU to allow green fuels beyond 2035, saying fuel producers must also be held accountable in reducing emissions.
The automotive and industrial sectors are undergoing a historic transformation. Electrification, digitalization, supply chain reinvention, regulatory shifts. The pace is accelerating and the pressure to adapt is real. This is not a time for hesitation. It's a time for bold decisions, backed by fast, effective execution. You need a partner who understands complexity, from factory floors to boardrooms, and delivers measurable results. That partner is Alex Partners, when it really matters.
A new era has kicked off at BMW with the introduction of its first new class model, the iX3. The all-electric crossover is built on a new platform that is more software-defined, features centralized computing, faster processing, improved ADAS, better efficiency, and quicker charging. Between now and 2027, 40 new and updated models will get at least some of this new class technology, so its success will be critical in BMW's future performance. At the heart of the iX3 are 4 central computers that process data up to 20 times faster than conventional systems and control all main functions of the vehicle. That includes a new display system for BMW. There's a large floating center screen, which is enhanced with a personal assistant that the company claims is significantly upgraded. But there's no driver display right behind the steering wheel. Instead, information is projected across the entire base of the windshield, while an optional HUD can bring even more info into the driver's field of view. The first version of the iX3 to launch will have an all-wheel drive system that produces about 470 horsepower and a nearly 109 kilowatt-hour battery pack that returns up to 805 kilometers or 500 miles of range on the WLTP test cycle. But that number will likely be around 400 to 450 miles when rated by the EPA. Other notable features include a 2,000 kilogram or 4,400 pound towing capacity, bidirectional charging capability, and improved OTAs. The iX3 will be made in Hungary and China. Hungary-made models first launched next spring in Europe, followed by the US in the summer of 2026, which is the same time that China-made versions launch in China. Ford's commercial division, Ford Pro, recently finished up a 6-month pilot with energy provider Southern Company, which leveraged a fleet of 200 F-150 Lightnings and 150 Level 2 chargers across multiple sites in multiple states. The partnership allowed them to control when the chargers were available and to stop or resume the charging session based on demand on the grid. Southern Company says it was able to reduce its total charging demand by 500 kilowatts of power during a 30-minute event and averaged about 10 kilowatts of savings per charger. Earlier this year, Gordon Wagner, the chief design officer at Mercedes-Benz, said, quote, "Screens are not luxury, and we have to create luxury beyond the screen." So, I was a little surprised to see a pillar-to-pillar display screen will be featured in the all-new GLC, which makes its debut on Sunday. Wagner also said that the previous software systems weren't good enough to run those screens, and that the company was working on content that is more specific and more entertaining. So, maybe that's what he feels like he's achieved with the new GLC. China is planning on banning retractable door handles on vehicles. Authorities want to get rid of them because they often experience failures and accidents involving power loss or fire, which makes rescue efforts more difficult. They're also 3 times more expensive than traditional handles, and failure rates are 8 times higher, causing higher repair costs. And on top of all of that, authorities say any aerodynamic benefits are negligible because the extra weight of additional motors can offset any gains. Car News China reports that regulators are expected to finalize a draft of rules by the end of the month. Under the proposal, automakers will be given a 1-year transition period before the mandate goes into effect in July of 2027. The proposal bans fully retractable handles, but semi-retractable handles will still be allowed. We got a chance to test drive the new Hyundai Palisade this week, and not only did Hyundai completely redesign the vehicle, they really took aim at what their customers asked for. Rex Takeshi Torres from Hyundai Product Planning talks about what they did.
Well, it's all about consumers first, right? What we really were hearing was we wanted more room, more space, more stuff, right? So you'll notice that Palisade's marketing line will be giving you more, more of something. And it's more room. As we talked about, it's longer on the wheelbase, longer in length, but that also translates to longer legroom in the interior, especially that second row. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's class-leading second row legroom. So, but it also leads to a very flexible third row, where you can kind of adjust that rear third row for more cargo or more rear legroom for that third row passenger. So again, you don't feel like a second-rate citizen being in the back seat.
One of the other things that Hyundai did was make the Palisade capable of overlanding with a trim line called XRT Pro. Power comes from a 3.5-liter V6 with 287 horsepower that's driven through an 8-speed automatic and is available with all-wheel drive. A 2.5-liter turbo is available on certain trim lines, and a 2-motor hybrid will appear later this year. Prices start at $40,000 for a base model and walk up to $60,000 for a fully loaded version. We drove a fully loaded version and found it to be impressively quiet inside, but a bit slow even with the V6. And that's a wrap for today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day, and I hope that you have a great weekend.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Alex Partners, when it really matters. CSP, the Composites Solution Partner. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.
Wards is the industry leader for news, data, and analysis. That's why companies across the globe subscribe to our premium service, maybe even your own. Log in for subscriber access now. Check your company's intranet for details, and rely on wardsauto.com to keep you informed.